Hello, guys. Welcome back to the first episode of season 2 of Fashionably Awkward. Hope everyone is doing well, and we are excited to start the season 2 with our amazing guest, Sumedha. She's a brand head and co founder of We.
We is a jewellery and a lifestyle brand started in 2020 by founder Priyanka Khandelwal. We stands for Made by Women, Handmade and Eco-friendly. It is a design-driven ethnic fashion brand committed to bringing marginalized family out of poverty circles and inspire consumers to buy eco-friendly and handmade products. The brand ensures fair family investments in education, health and savings by adding more mothers in the workforce and doubling their family income.
The brand works with many different eco friendly, sustainable material like discarded fabrics, waste wood, and jute, and upcycle them into jewelry using various handmade techniques of artisans like hand embroidery, block printing, hand braiding, macrame. Today, the brand has empowered more than 180 women and trained over 500 to become independent. The brand was also awarded the Savitri Samman Award in 2017 by Maharashtra One. Hi, Sumedha. Welcome to Fashionably Awkward. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me a part of this platform, and thank you for having we, if I can put it like that.
Yeah,
Lovely to be a part of this and very excited.
okay, so let's begin with our first question. What was your inspiration behind We?
So we was actually started in 2020 during pandemic with the vision of empowering women. So we was actually started with a vision to empower women in 2020. It comes from the parent company, which is Abira Creations, which was started in about 2015. That was a B2B enterprise, and we is a B2C and now becoming a D2C brand. So the idea behind it was to actually to bring together artisans and women in the community who need work and who want to become independent and take charge of their own lives. And along came the idea of weaving it with the ethos of sustainability, something which is eco-friendly, which is involved in reviving the Indian crafts and Indian traditional techniques in a more contemporary avatar. So this was the idea when we were started, and there's been a long learning along the way for all of us. We're still making a lot of mistakes. We're still learning a lot of new things. And it's a wonderful journey so far with very good and welcoming response from both the end of the spectrum, the consumers as well as the artisans. So it's been a rewarding journey so far for us.
Yeah. I think I really love the fact that you had started the brand with the idea of empowering women, and then the brand evolved into a lot of different things. And sustainability part has played a very important role in the brand ethos, as you previously mentioned. So could you expand more upon how sustainability has been a part of the brand?
Actually, all of us have always believed in sustainability. In a very literal sense, I think it's such a buzzword, and a lot of us get intimidated, and a lot of it gets weighed away by the definition. It's exciting and it's very trendy and catchy. But it's a very simple way of learning to do things in a fashion which is feasible both for the environment as well as the economy as well as the community.
Yeah.
And if you look into one, on one aspect of the spectrum, you're in a way contributing to the other aspects of the spectrum. If you're empowering the community, you're also working along the way in doing things which are environmentally sustainable. You're in a way becoming economically viable. A lot of cost saving happens because you are sustainable, because you ensure that there are lesser wastages.
Right.
There is fair wages to your artisan, so there's more loyalty and there's less attrition. So everything, it's a beautiful cycle of everything falling together and creating an enterprise which is committed, wants to go in an ethical way and wants to be there for long run.
Yeah.
You don't want to make short-term margins and be there for a
Mhm.
few years, get taken over,
Mhm.
or shut shop.
Yeah.
I think all the brands which have started recently, uh, it's important to look at a long-term vision, which in a way it's imperative to be sustainable if you
Yeah.
want to be long run.
Mhm.
So it's as simple as that and as complicated as it can be.
Mhm.
So we've always believed in that because there's no other way, to be there for long and to be there for everybody.
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's the most beautiful part of the, like, when I was researching about the brand and going through your profile, that's what I came across, that sustainability is not just part of brand creation, product creation, but it can be seen in every aspect of the business, like incorporating women, fair wages, then talking about eco-friendly materials that are going into creating the product, then the business module. So that is the most interesting thing. And now that you spoke about brand, like running the brand in long term, like not just creating a brand and then working on it and then closing it, like shutting it down within few year or so. So that is very interesting, and I find it inspiring to have someone, who sees it in every aspect of it, because people mostly do not understand the concept of sustainability completely, and they do not even try to willingly learn about it. So from your conversation, what we realize that women have been an integral part of we ever since its inception. So how has that played an important part in like brand functioning or product creation? Because women, they generally like function differently when it comes to handling brand, or their the way they work or everything.
Function.
Yeah.
Right. It's interesting that right from the front end to the back end, everybody who's a part of the team is a woman,
Yeah.
and that's what we stands for. The first
Mhm.
pillar for the brand, which is a short form for women, handmade and eco-friendly. So of course, the first pillar is and bringing together women and in the process empowering them. The artisans who started with us initially were reluctant. They were women who did not have a say in their own family matters.
Yeah.
um, long been neglected and were not educated or were not
Mhm.
taking decisions of their own lives. So these women were reluctant to get out of their homes or work.
Mhm.
um, so there we saw that there was a huge gap in this cycle of employment where
Yeah.
women who need to get out of the homes and start working and take charge were
Mhm.
reluctant because of a long suppression cycle. And
Mhm.
we've seen that around us, different areas.
Mhm.
So we started with a vision to find these women, to train them, to train them not just in terms of vocational skills, but also train
Mhm.
them in terms of all aspects of personality
Yeah.
development, make them more confident so they can have that they can guide and make their own decision or have a say in important matters of the family, educate their own children,
Mhm.
and not just be another piece of furniture in the house, because this if you educate one woman, she's going to educate the entire family, as they
Family.
say. She's
Yeah.
going to take care of the entire unit the way it's meant to be. So we started with a vision to train these women financially, give
Mhm.
them computer literacy, give them
Mhm.
personality development and skill training.
Mhm.
And that really sparked a wave of confidence. So, so five women, they got excited and they said, we want more women to be associated with Abira, with we.
Mhm.
And so we started expanding like that. Of course, it took a long time, because to break that barrier, the mental barrier that they should get out of their homes,
Yeah.
and not listen to the family members who
Mhm.
would not want them to work outside.
Mhm.
So we still face that barrier. We still have that hindrance, but
Mhm.
now they're more open, and like they say, the proof comes from these women who then motivate another set of women, you know.
Yeah.
So now we don't have to talk about it, we don't have to encourage it.
Yeah.
We have a live evidence in these
Right.
artisans who are working with us. So they go ahead and they say, you know, let us take charge, let us train another set of women. And that's how we're expanding and growing. And we would like to continue doing that along the way.
Yeah, that's excellent, I think. And I think when like a woman, like the brand is woman oriented, like more women are working it, you can definitely feel the the dedication that they work with, and the the family that they create outside of their own family, and kind of encourage each other and support each other. That's really great, and
Yeah.
that really fulfills everyone, I
Yeah,
feel.
and there's also energy shift in
Yeah.
the work culture whenever there's women around, because I remember where I used to work, we had all women company, and the energy was entirely different. Like just during the lunch hours and everything, like we would sit down and have our lunch and speak about transparently about our personal problem and everything. But I don't know. Somehow I feel like it's different around when you have different other people involved, but with women, it's kind of easy. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. I think that's unquestionable, their dedication and their energy. You know, and the loyalty that they have, you know,
Yeah.
even if you meet them after 7 years of they being associated with the company, you meet them now, they speak with the same enthusiasm as they had on
Yeah.
day one. And it's
Mhm.
amazing because they felt that difference in their own lives.
Yeah.
And they want to see, they want to uplift other lives because they've seen
Yeah.
so much in their own.
Difference.
So that's amazing, you know,
Yeah.
it's a
And
spark.
yeah, they go
Absolutely.
through
And
a
women are
lot.
known
Yeah.
to be great multitaskers
Mhm.
and great managers and, you know, a lot of other things. Not to say men aren't, but I think we
Yeah,
do have that
exactly.
superpower.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's you know, that's one remarkable thing about them, that they feel and they work from their heart, and they do
Yeah.
you know, have that bond
Yeah.
you know, when they're connected. So that's very important. We need to connect that bond
Yeah.
across you know, different spectrums. So
Mhm.
that's you know, one of the very imperative aspect of running an enterprise for us.
Yeah, right. Actually, when we were researching, we saw that the brand was, started in 2020, like during the pandemic. So we wanted to know what is like the difference and changes that you have experienced, like post and pre-pandemic, like as a brand.
Right. So we actually started during pandemic in 2020, which is not the best time for a new brand
Yeah.
to start.
Mhm.
Um, and actually, pandemic was a great learning. There is a huge shift in the market because of
Yeah.
what we've all experienced in those 2 years,
Mhm.
good or bad. The market has really shaped in a different way the entire landscape of consumption and understanding brand. There's so many new Indian brands that were born in that period,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
continue to be really good. And they continue to be all driven with a fundamental aspect of, you know, of working towards, you know, creating value,
Mhm.
of driving good quality products, of empowering artisans, or working towards, you know, doing a lot of course, handloom and handicraft, but other brands also who are trying to, uh, um, who are trying to make India greater, you know, by doing things which in an ordinary scenario you see international brands doing.
Yeah.
So, and people have started appreciating that.
Yeah.
Even consumers, you know, they've
Mhm.
started taking note of that. The
Mhm.
loyalties are shifting from international brands to Indian brands,
Yeah.
because there's so much value to offer. And
Mhm.
who understands India better than an Indian, right?
Right.
Right.
So, so there's been a huge change in consumption demand and
Mhm.
acceptance and creation of a brand because
Mhm.
of pandemic. I think people have started valuing slow life and cherishing, you know, things that make more meaning. And they've
Mhm.
also started understanding that you don't need a lot to survive or
Mm.
Yeah.
live a
Yes.
happy life.
Mm.
Right.
You know, and this has been such an integral part of our country. You know, we see our grandfathers and our grandparents. You know, they've always been sustainable. You know, it may
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
buzzword now, but
Yes, the sustainability is like
India
part of
has been
it.
a country which has absolutely, there's so much rich heritage around sustainability. We've seen our parents' sibling, or wearing the
Their
same
clothes.
piece of clothing. It get passed down from one generation to another.
Mm.
I use my sister's old books,
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah.
Um, so and there's just deep understanding that wastage नहीं करनी है कोई भी चीज
Yeah.
की,
Mm.
and utilize everything to its fullest,
Yeah.
because that makes more economic sense,
Mhm.
and most environmentally
Yeah.
viable aspect also,
Yeah.
which we now, because of all of this, this culture of massive consumption and industrialization sort of diluted that for us. But
Mhm.
I think we're all sort of coming
At
to
the
understand,
roots.
valuing that.
Yeah, that is within us. It's like a core value. So it's within us, but somehow we lost our ways. But now we are getting back. So that's exciting. Also, since the brand was established during the pandemic, there were already a lot of challenges for the brand. But in terms of tapping the community and connecting the consumers with artisans with right audience
Yeah.
over the years. So how did you manage those challenges? I'm sure like there must be a lot of challenges in terms of tapping the right community and helping people from marginalized family and convincing them to join the brand, be part of it.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, it was a challenge to convince them.
Right, right. Actually, the challenge would always be there. The challenge is on both the end of the spectrum,
Hmm.
from the consumer end as well as the producer group, which is the artisan community.
Yeah.
Um, I'll talk about the artisan community first.
Mhm.
Like I said, to that initial spark of encouraging women to join and work was difficult because they needed a lot of, a lot of counseling
Yeah.
and a
Mm.
lot of hand holding,
Mm.
because this was the first time for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that was the first step, and that was one cluster that we work. Now we're looking at expanding our clusters across different cities and states where it's most needed.
Mhm.
It could be Rajasthan, it could be down south somewhere.
Mhm.
Uh, all these metros, for a fact, we know that in terms of employment, there are opportunities, and
Yeah.
women find ways. But in non-metro cities or in a slightly semi-urban
Mm.
setup,
Mhm.
that's not the case. The
Right.
Right.
reality is very different. It's starkly
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Mm.
And all of us, I'm personally born in a metro city, but
Mhm.
I've worked and traveled, so I do understand the challenges.
Mm.
So there is a reluctance, and people do not want to take that first step, and
Yeah.
they would rather work in industry where they're paid
Mm.
a slightly more wage than being associated with a company which is
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
smaller, which is more value driven, because I think they're also in that process of making a quick buck,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and don't realize that it has more detrimental aspect on their
Yeah.
Right.
lives.
Mhm.
The workers who are working in the factory, we all know that it's such a compromise that's made on their
Mm.
health and safety standards,
Definitely.
um, as compared to a small social enterprise who's driven to empower women, who wants to see them succeed. So our
Mm.
Yeah.
idea is not just to give them employment, but to make them micro entrepreneurs. Like
Mm.
I said,
Right.
now one woman who's been working is trained for 7 years. She's
Mhm.
giving work to seven other women.
Mm.
So she's becoming independent. She's taking charge, and she's running a full-fledged enterprise herself. She is trained enough to do that.
Wow.
Uh, but that's a long journey. That's
Yeah.
that's a long-term horizon, and
Mhm.
it's not easy to explain this to someone who's not worked even once in their
Well,
lives.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the first challenge that we face, and we're
Mm.
still facing that. As we're expanding as a company, as an enterprise, we
Mm.
need more artisans and producer groups to work for
Mm.
us.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
we are facing that challenge in convincing people to work for good and to work for an organization that's value driven.
Yeah.
That's a challenge that we'll continue to face, but we're trying to break that barrier in some way. The second challenge, of course, is the other end, consumers.
Right.
Consumers do not understand deeply the value of handmade. They would we as a brand are not selling because we're a social enterprise. We as a brand is accepted because our products are very fashion forward,
Yes. Yeah.
and they're trendy and they're innovative, um, and we're working with different techniques which are quite novel. So that makes people excited, but when they look at the product, they want to buy it for that.
Right.
They do not understand that there is a deep story embedded in that product. Someone's worked with their hands on that product. Someone's put in their heart and soul in creating it. And there is a value to that, right? You
Yeah.
cannot compare a handmade with a machine made
Yeah.
at all. So that becomes explaining that to consumer is difficult. But again, there is a shift that's happening. We're trying to work around that, create more campaigns, communicate with our consumer groups, and explain them that each piece that you're wearing is not just use and throw. This is a piece that is meant to be worn over and over again, and that's what we believe in. So there has been a challenge on both the ends of the spectrum, but we're working towards that.
Yeah, and I think so. It would be like a continuous struggle and challenge. But I think so. The more we, educate consumers and artisans, I think so. It will become like broader and broader, and the family of the brand will keep on increasing in that way, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are patrons of handmade. I personally love wearing products, which have a story behind them.
Yeah.
Which are designed with a conscience, and they're guided by principle. So I personally research the brands that I'm going to be investing my money in, and not just buy it impulsively because it's the new fashion trend. So in fact, we as a brand also do not work on fashion trends. We create products that that are more timeless. You can wear them over and over again. In fact, the first collection that we created in 2020 and keep adding on is still running in the market and very successful. So we don't believe in creating for seasons or trends as a brand, but becoming more seasonless and more classic. More long-term pieces.
So yeah, as we are amidst like the festive season, and like the wedding season is also upon us, we know that in Indian culture we tend to do like a lot of wastage, and we tend to indulge a lot. So what would you suggest are some of the eco-friendly alternatives that our listeners can participate and do in a mindful way, so that they do not end up wasting a lot of resources for festivities?
Yeah. I think that's a very, very good question and a very important dialogue to have, especially around weddings. Festivals have just concluded. We had one full month full of festivities, which was amazing. But along with festivals comes a lot of wastages, like you said. We do end up buying impulsively, or we have so many parties to attend, so many wedding functions, and gifts, etc., that comes with it. And now with wedding season round the corner, as a consumer, it's very important to not go after trends and buy things just because they're pretty catchy, but to invest in pieces that you like to wear again. Personally, I like to buy pieces that I can layer up, or in festivities I can just add another layer on another piece of jewelry around it and make it all the more celebratory in look and appeal. And these days the market is spoiled for choices in terms of pre-loved clothes. People are investing in buying a lot of pre-loved, garments.
Yeah.
And there's also a market of rentals. One of my friends called me and she said, Sumedha, I have a Diwali party, and I really like this trendy ruffled sari that I saw online, but it's very expensive. It's a designer sari, and I'm just going to wear it for one function. What do you recommend? And the first thought that came to my mind, that why don't you, rent a sari? Why don't you buy it from a rental platform? It solves your purpose. It's more economically viable. You don't have to wear it again because she's someone who doesn't like to repeat outfits. So I suggest, why not borrow it at a price that's more affordable? Get your Instagram worthy pictures, look like a diva that you want to, and return it the next day. It solves your purpose.
Yeah.
And you get to wear the outfit of your choice. So there are a lot of options. We just need to be ready to research a little more than just buying what we see the next thing on Instagram. We're all targeted for ads,
Yeah.
and it's super simple to just punch in your CVV number and buy something and have it delivered the next day. That's very convenient, but we do not understand that it has an impact on the environment and on your credit card. And that's so sustainability is absolutely viable and economical and practical. So there are a lot of ways to do that. Even with gifting, I see we mindlessly. So one of my friends that I met during shopping, I was at the store trying to look for gifts. More, I'd like to spend a little more time and understand what the other person would need. And I met this old colleague, co-worker, and she said, I hate shopping for Diwali because you don't know, there's no end to buying gifts, and you don't know if the other person is like it or not. So what I've started doing is I've started gifting them a sapling or plants, or I've started planting trees in their name. So a lot of organizations that Nicobar started it at one point. But there are other organizations who are planting trees in your name or in the name of your loved one. So I think that's a very thoughtful gift, or gifting them plants. In my family, we try and avoid gifting flowers, but plants. Even I received a very beautiful little indoor plant for Diwali as a gift from a dear friend. So there are a lot of ways to cut down, and that does not diminish the festivities for you just by being a little more mindful. Because at the end of the day, the wastages are going to be there, and it's terrible to add to the landfill, which is already growing. And we all know that it's a reality. It may not be in front of us, but we can see the repercussions. The air quality is terrible in the cities where we're living. So that everything comes with a cost. So it's important to understand what you're trading what for. So, and research, invest, understand. We may not be the most sustainable brand, or we may not have the most sustainable offering or options, but it's everyone's evolving, and we learn from each other. So that's very important. You do your due diligence, research, learn, explore, ask brands, what their processes are. Are they really sustainable? Do they invest in what they're talking about? So ask these questions. Consumer, I do that. I'd like to ask them as many questions, and I see a lot of brands investing in their consumers. You can just send an Instagram message to your favorite brand and ask them about how they're producing it, if they're using the craft that they're talking about. So ask questions, research. There's so many forums these days. There's so many communities these days that you can join and be a part of. So there are so many ways to be sustainable and be and save money. That's a big incentive that we all want, right?
Yeah, that's true. And as a consumer, it's our responsibility to educate ourselves and take that extra time to research and read and mindfully invest on anything that you're buying for yourself or your family, because like they say that it's better than for 1,000 people to practice sustainability imperfectly than two people to practice it perfectly, then probably we'll be moving in a right direction. And like you said that it's a great initiative by your family and friends that you gift each other plant. And I would also like to mention this, that this I've started this year in 2022, that I try to give plans to my family or friend if there's a birthday or something, some occasion, because this was a gift demanded by my 6-year niece when I asked her, what do you want for your birthday? And she said, you can give me a plan so that I can take care of it and make it big.
Yeah.
And we'll have something to look after for like it within 10 years or so. Like, so that makes
How
so
lovely.
much sense. And a 6-year-old teaching me like what is the most mindful gift I can give her. So that's interesting. And now that we are in at the end of this episode, um, before we end it, we would like to say that we really love what you're wearing, your neck piece and earring. It looks stunning. And would you like to tell us more about this? Is this from your latest collection, and where people can find these?
Right. Right. So this is actually a very beautiful craft called Bidri.
Yes.
It's an 800-year-old craft, and what you see, the silver work that you see is actually silver, pure silver etching on the frame on an alloy of zinc and copper.
Okay.
So and it's a very ancient craft, you know. But Bidri is often seen as the artifacts and as homeware
Yeah.
products, and that is quite expensive and not very accessible. So, the craft was dying its due, dying a death, a slow death, because people found it expensive, and artisan really needs to put in a lot to create a piece. It's actually an eightfold process, and it's very labor intensive. But these are beautiful pieces and very sophisticated technique. So, what we thought was we also work towards reviving old crafts. So we thought, why not introduce the craft in something which is more wearable and more affordable, like jewelry
Yeah.
pieces. And these are stunning. They're very minimalist.
Yeah, and you can style them in multiple ways. Like they're stunning. Love them.
Absolutely.
Festive
You can
too.
wear it with it's a very minimalist festive. I would say,
definitely.
it's not very blingy in your eye, and yet it's festive, right? You can wear it I'm wearing it with a kurta, but you can wear it with a shirt,
Yeah.
to your office. We do a lot of smaller pieces also in this craft, so this is a little more statement. We do have a lot of smaller pieces. I may just take a moment to show you what we have.
Yeah, sure.
If you could show me the choker. So, so there are multiple ways of making craft more accessible. So we do have a workwear range. We do have a festive range, what I'm wearing. This is also a part of our festive range, what you see on the dummy here.
Oh, wow.
A statement piece, and there are lovely earrings to go with that. If you could pass me the matching.
Sushmita is truly like, after this interview, she's just going to do add to cart, add to cart. Go to your website. She loves jewelry. Yeah.
Lovely. So, these are these earrings that we create to go with them. And they're very statement.
Yeah, and they're very different also. Like you don't find such
Design-wise,
products generally. So they look very different and they're stunning.
Right. So
And the
this is a
amount
new
of detailing that you have put in, matlab, in terms of design, is really pretty.
Right. So this is a choker. This is, a more minimalist style. One can also wear this, on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
So, we want to create jewelry which is more functional, more everyday wear.
Yeah.
Layer up pieces with a bigger earring or jhumka to sort of layer it up.
Yeah.
Or
They're
wear
for
it
everyone, I
with
think.
smaller earrings. Absolutely. It's such a timeless collection that every age group can wear them, right?
Relate to them. Yeah. True.
Right from your mother to you to, youngsters, even college going crowds can wear these pieces.
Definitely.
So, there are a lot of these, and of course, there's pendants and chokers. It looks really nice with a sari, or a kurta or a
Very
shirt or a dress. So this is one of our new collections. We're trying to introduce newer designs in this, um, and it's really liked by all watchers.
wow.
We're soon going to be launching it online as well.
Excited. We
Yeah.
will be looking forward to it and definitely going to share it on our page for more people to have a look. Because I'm sure like a lot of people are going to love these pieces.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you see how intricate the workmanship is, you will appreciate it even more. We're going to post a few videos of artisan making one of these pieces, and
Yeah.
you'll see how much technique is involved and how much handwork is involved. So do follow our page.
Yes.
I would just request all your viewers and followers
Yeah.
to go on Instagram, and to sort of look for this the brand WHE by Abira.
Yeah.
We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook.
Facebook.
We also have our website,
Yeah.
which is www.byabira.com.
Yeah.
And and do follow us. We
Yeah.
keep
What
posting
we-
and keep talking about techniques.
Yeah. We'll make sure that we add all the links, Facebook, website, and Instagram in the description of this podcast so that
Right.
everyone
Yeah,
can immediately go and follow.
so we'll share the direct links with product images and as well as like separate links.
Yeah.
So the people can easily tap and go directed to the website.
Yeah. So now that we are at the end of the podcast, we would like to show like a short video of a glimpse into like what we is doing to make a constant impact on people's lives.
आगरा में आपका स्वागत है।
जब ऑर्डर आता है तब हम लोग चेक करते हैं इन्वेंट्री में हमारे पास स्टॉक कितना अवेलेबल है और हमें कितना सोर्स करना पड़ेगा। तो सोर्सिंग में हम खुद ही करते हैं। उसके बाद फिर मैं प्रोडक्शन प्लान करती हूँ। पैकेजिंग से लेकर पूरा शिप करने तक ऑर्डर प्रोसेस हम लोग ही पूरी करते हैं।
अभी बहुत अच्छे से सीख ली क्रोशिया। मैं जब ये अबीरा ज्वाइन की थी तो मैंने बात की मैडम से, तो उन्होंने यूट्यूब चलाना सिखाया, तो अपनी टीम तैयार करके उनको भी सिखाई और अभी कुछ भी ऑर्डर आता है तो हम लोग अपने टीम से करवा लेते हैं।
अबीरा में आके हमें बैंक अकाउंट चालू करवाया। उसके बाद हमने आरडी चालू की। मेरा महीने का 2000 रुपये आरडी कट होता है। उसके बाद मेरा जितना पैसा बचेगा ना, मैं अपने बच्चों के स्कूल के लिए लगाती हूँ।
1-1.5 महीने के लिए आए थे काम के लिए, लेकिन यहाँ का माहौल इतना अच्छा लगा तो जाने का मन ही नहीं हो गया।
मेरे घर वाले सब मेरे खिलाफ थे। इंग्लिश मैडम ने नहीं सिखाने बच्चों को, पर मैं उनका न सुनते अपना खुद का ही डिसीजन ली।
अपनी जो बात है वो खुल के दूसरों के सामने रखना, ये मैं अब अबीरा में सीखूँ।
मुझे पढ़ाई लिखना नहीं आता था, फिर भी मैं कोशिश कर रही हूँ अपने में कि जितना चाहिए उतना अच्छा इंग्लिश बोल पाऊँ और सीख पाऊँ।
On behalf of our podcast audience, we would like to thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule to do this interview with us. It was a pleasure to have you on, so inspired by your brand journey and the whole impact it is creating on the community at large. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Sushmita. Thank you, Shalini. All the best. And you're doing an amazing work. Keep it up and keep spreading the word. We need more people like you, and it's amazing to be a part of this dialogue.
Thank you so much.